Hey guys, it's the Hunting Camper here, and today I'm going to be doing a tier list. Very original idea, I know. And of course, what better way to start off a crappy channel with a crappy video idea? I'm going to be using Stanley557's tier list, and I'll be providing a link to that in the description below, or at least I should. Please, future hunter, please do not screw this up. Anyway, so yeah, there have been a lot of zombies maps over the years from multiple different games, and I'm gonna do my best to rank them as objectively as possible. Now obviously some subjectivity is bound to come from these sort of rankings, and I'm not gonna shy away from that because, I mean, I'm human. Now, what makes a map good? I think that's what we should establish first. I think the best maps are the maps that you can pick up and play and be able to explore beyond those realms after that initial setup. I don't like a map that forces you to play a certain way every single time or require you to look up like a ton of tutorials just to get a hang of. I think a good map should be able to set you in the environment of the map and still allow you to, you know, find your bearings and maybe figure out some stuff on your own. With that being said, I'm going to try to rank these in chronological order, because it's kind of a jumbled mess here. So, first map we're going to look at is Nacht. So, okay, just for now, we're going to rank them at okay before I make a decision on what placement. So, Nacht or Untoten is an interesting case, because it's the first zombies map of all time. So, you have to give it a little bit of respect, you would think, but right now I'm trying to think of, the way my mindset's going is, of all the maps to play, what are the reasons to go back and play them? And Nacht doesn't really have many things going for it. Again, you can argue nostalgia factor, but I don't think that's a good argument for any map. But at the same time, Nacht is I would call the blank canvas of zombies. So, if a map is worse than Nacht, that's telling that it's a bad experience, or at least very flawed. But if a map is better than Nacht, then they're just meeting the status quo. So I'm gonna actually leave Nacht in flawed, because a blank canvas is literally nothing. And most things are better than nothing. But as you will see here, some of these maps are quite literally worse than nothing. Alright, where's Verrückt at? If I can find it. I'm so stupid, Hunter. Where's Verrückt? Where is it? Okay, I'm getting mad. Where is it at? I'm gonna be editing this later, and I'm gonna be so mad at myself. There it is. Okay, so Verrückt. Verrückt is basically just better Nacht. It's a lot more tight of an experience. When I load up Verrückt, I'm thinking to myself, alright, time to shit my pants while trying to get to a decent round. It's a very scary experience, honestly. It's very intense, and I really respect that. No map in the future has really captured that sort of energy. I mean, you could argue 5 or Shang, but Verrückt really feels like you're always like on your toes when you're playing it. And I really hope a map in the future really can bring this energy back. Because what holds Verrückt back is it just came too soon. There's no pack-a-punch. There's nothing to keep me playing after like round like 15 or 20. So again, I respect Verrückt. I respect what it did. So I'm gonna put it okay. I'm gonna keep it at okay, because I mean you could still go back to it and have fun. Verrückt is the map to go to if you just wanna, if you're about to leave to do something, but if you want to just get a quick game in, Verrückt is your map. Alright, and we have original Shinonuma. Honestly, I don't like Shinonuma. I'll be real. The map design is very flawed. You have like these 4 quadrants that just don't flow into each other at all. It's like you have a center point and you're branching off to buy your way to each corner, and it feels very counterintuitive, because once you buy your way through, you're rewarded with a random perk, and that random perk could be like literally anything. It could be quick revive, or it could be jug, and you can get totally screwed over by it. And I don't know, I just think that kind of sucks. And even when you get to the high rounds parts of the map, it's so glitched out, and you can get to like round 1,000 without really even trying. So I don't know. I have a hard time taking this map very seriously. I mean, it's got that niche. It's got the niche of being able to go to round 1,000 or 10,000. But I don't know. I think there are better ways to spend your time. Shidonuma is flawed. Better than Noct, but still flawed. Alright, where is Durice? This is where the stuff gets good. This is where it gets good. Ah, Durice. So, I'll be real. Durice is one of my personal favorite maps of all time. Just getting that out of the way. But even if I put my biases aside, even if I decide to get rid of all the nostalgia goggles, I genuinely believe that Durice is probably the best designed map of all time. It's got a great like center spawn, super tight. All the rooms connect together in a way that works with like the progression, and all the rooms kind of have a purpose. It's not like you just neglect an entire part of the map. There's a it flows together so nicely. And you got Pack-a-Punch. Like, this is a map that really like brought in the reason you play zombies. Like Noct, Varrock, you can play these maps for maybe like once or twice, and then you're just like, okay, I'm done. Durice is one of the few where I can like play a really long game till like round 30 or so, and I'm like, all right, let's do it again. And I don't know, it's just such a sound and wonderful experience. If you want the raw essence of what zombies is supposed to be, Durice is your map. And then we have its overrated cousin, Kino der Toten. Now, why would I say that after just giving Durice such praise and such like valor? Well, the problem with Kino is that it's supposed to be this next big leap for zombies experience. You got Durice, like literally brought in Pack-a-Punch. Now you probably think like, oh man, what are they gonna add next? What's like this big next step for zombies? Kino added nothing. Literally nothing. There's a Thunder Gun. Thunder Gun's cool, I guess. And Nova Crawlers, nobody likes those. But with that being said, it's still a great zombies experience. I'd say it's great because you can still have fun on it. It's Kino, But I just say it's just dumbed down Durice. Durice has 3 teleporters, and like they're all like put in great spots, and they're like all like generally useful. Kino's map flow kind of slows down because you have to reactivate the link every single time you want to Pack-a-Punch, and it's just kind of annoying. But I mean, it did do the job of introducing zombies to a whole new group of people, a whole army of people. And that's what really brought in that popularity. So I gotta give it credit there. But as a map, I got no reason to ever go back to it, really. I guess that's the part where I should say I'm not gonna rank any of the Dead Ops maps or modes, because I don't really have enough knowledge on them to really be able to judge them fairly. I'll leave that to other people to make their own lists and judge them accordingly. Alright, so 5. I got a real hot take with 5. I gotta be real here. 5 kinda sucks. I hate 5. And you're probably thinking like, what? 5 is cool. It's like hard Kino. And it's like, well, hard doesn't mean good, just like how easy doesn't always mean bad. The way that 5 is hard just sucks. It's just bad design. You have a crappy wonder weapon and traps in the worst possible spots. And I don't know. I just find the map design and the struggle in those early rounds just to be kind of ridiculous. It's not really worth it. The Pentagon Thief can kiss my ass because I think he's a terrible enemy design. I think he's like unique. It's cool. We got something other than dogs, but I mean, creativity points are not what save a map. I'm sorry. Okay, maybe this is a little unfair. I gotta give it that it's. I would definitely rather play 5 than these guys. So okay, I'll keep it at okay. It's an okay map, but it's just not for me. Where is Ascension? There it is. Ascension is great. I'd say it's great. I think it does its job. It's basically like better. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna say that it's better Kino. The monkeys can be annoying, sure, but I mean, once you're at high enough round, you can just buy back all your perks anyway. It really doesn't matter. But yeah, honestly, I don't have much of a problem with Ascension. It exists. It has the first Easter egg of all time, I think. Yeah, this one has the first Easter egg. I gotta give it props there, but I mean, it's a kind of crappy Easter egg, so I mean, you can only get so many points from that. Alright, where's Call of the Dead? Where is he? There he is. Call of the Dead, honestly, I'm gonna put at top of okay. And on that note, I realize Kino's a bit too high. Okay, I can't change it. I'm gonna put Call of the Dead at bottom of great then. Bottom of great. It's Call of the Dead. My problem is that my perception of this map is kind of ruined because I played a much better version of it. Kind of spoiled my take there, but yeah, you get the point. Call of the Dead suffers from very bad layout. And it's a unique layout. It has like some cool like verticality, and I like the zip lines, but there's way too many dead ends and just too many times where I'm just thinking to myself, why can't I just go over there? Why can't I just jump over that tiny little gate? It's literally right there. Why do I have to run across the entire map just to get to this one spot? There's too many of those in the map, and I think that just really hinders the experience. There's so many just dead ends, and the map looks ugly as hell, honestly. But with that being said, it's still Call of the Dead. It has George. It has the worst wonder weapon we've ever seen, along with a cool wonder weapon. Yeah, the more I talk about Call of the Dead, I realize it's not very good. I'm gonna put it in okay, because George is. I hate George. I know people like to say like, oh, he's cool, he gives you a wonder waft, but I wish there was a way you could just have him off if you don't want him. Like maybe like do like some Easter egg step or whatever, or maybe there was a way to have him turned off by, or maybe like a way you had to bring him back. I don't know. I just wish that it was not so mandatory to have him around, because when you have that one guy who just shoots him on accident, it can screw up your movement so badly, because just from across the map, oh, now I guess my screen's shaking and I can't move. That's fun. Okay, I think I gave Call of the Dead enough of a roasting. Shangri-La, honestly, top of great. I respect Shangri-La a lot. I think it is. No, I won't say that yet. Shangri-La is a pretty good map. I would say it is the way better 5. It's what 5 tried to be. Now, Shangri-La is probably debatably harder by some people's standards. Maybe not, but what I hear all the time is like, so you hate 5 because it's hard, but Shangri-La is also hard. Why do you like Shang but not 5? Well, it's because Shang actually gives you a chance to succeed, and it rewards you for being smart. Something that is difficult should be able... ideally, I think that if a map is going to be hard, it should give you bones if you're being smart. And Shangri-La does that in spades with the monkey drop system. Basically, a drop will spawn, then a monkey will pick it up, and if you're smart, you can shoot the monkey at the exact right time to give yourself a max ammo or a free perk. And using this knowledge to your advantage, you could really get to like really high rounds, because you just won't run out of ammo. And it's not like it's like a herpy-derp like stupid easy strategy or anything. You really have to pay attention and know what you're doing. So I respect Shangri-La for that alone, the fact that I actually have to use my brain. At the same time, Shangri-La is a really small map, and it can feel very cramping, and that there's not much freedom for strategies. You're kind of forced to use the baby gun and maybe Mustangs, and run around that area where Jug or Speed can be at, or do like that camping strat where you're forcing the spawns to get killed as soon as you use the shrink ray on the ceiling or something. I don't know, it's been a fair bit, but that's my take on Shane. Alright, Moon. I'll be real. Moon, honestly, I consider it a top 10. I used to consider it S tier, but I realize it has flaws. I would say the biggest flaw with Moon is that the Easter egg has way too many RNG steps. There's way too much of just box spamming and just praying to God that things work out for you. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've got like the perfect setup and I just waited till round 30 until Excavator Pie decided to shove its ugly head in. With that being said though, it has probably the best Easter egg ending or story in a map. Or at least in the Jimmy area, I would say it has the best story. What else is there? I mean, the zero gravity gimmick on the Moon is pretty neat. I would say the Black Ops 1 version's not very fun to maneuver around. I would say BO3 definitely improved that one a lot. And by the way, I'm not going to rank the individual versions. I think that's just a waste of time. They're all collectively like the same. I don't like to separate them too much. So Moon is Moon. I don't care what game. And of course I'll still say top 10 map. Very fun. All right, now we get into the disaster pieces. Here we are at Transit. I mean, this goes without saying. This is a terrible map. This is. I mean, what is there to say that hasn't been said already? This map is just awful. The map screams too much ambition. There was not enough technology to make what Transit was trying to do, and they clearly didn't have enough time to flesh out what they wanted to make either. So you're kind of left with this very inflated and yet kind of empty experience. And not to mention the flow is kind of forced upon you with like the bus, and unless you kind of abuse gameplay systems or really know what the hell you're doing, you're kind of just screwed. The jet gun is the worst wonder weapon to ever exist. Well, okay, it's the best and the worst, but the point is it's not very fun to use. It's just, it's so annoying. Denizens are not fun to deal with at all. Fire can kiss my ass. It is a mess of a map. I hate it, but I still kind of respect it for at least trying to do something new. Nuketown. I'm gonna put in flawed because it's just a shitty version of Town. I would rather play Town any time of the day before I play Nuketown. Nuketown is just kind of whatever. I don't care enough to ever visit this map. I would rather play Noct or Shino or any of the maps above to Nuketown. I hate it. The random perk spawns become more annoying than they are like intensifying or like exciting. There is no wonder weapon on the map, but I guess it's more of a survival map, so that's fair. I don't know. I don't really have any fond memories of Nuketown other than getting to around 35 on a solo attempt. But I mean, I don't care. It's a map that I get really bored of really quickly if I'm not sweating my butt off and raging and throwing my controller at the TV. Alright, Die Rise. A map somehow worse than Transit, I would argue. Because at least Transit tried new things, but failed. Die Rise suffers from a lack of innovation and even then fails to be fun. With Transit, you can kind of meme around with your friends and just like laugh at the awful mechanics. Die Rise, it's a hazard to even try anything wacky or new because there's no PhD on the map, and it freaking ruins any like mobility freedom you could have had if you had it in the map. But no, so we're forced to use these freaking trample steams, and if you're playing solo you can only have one, so it kind of limits your ability to effectively use those. And the map looks so freaking ugly, and I hate it. It's a nothing map. And what is worse than a map that tries? It's a map that doesn't try and still fails. That's how I feel about Die Rise. Alright, Mob of the Dead. Finally, something good. okay. I'll be real. I'm a person that kind of understands why people think Mamba's overrated, but at the same time, the atmosphere is so good and the story is so good and it stands on its own without even needing to know anything about like the Aether story that I have to give it top 5. It may as well be like its own sort of game because it's such a thrilling and immersive experience. The narrative is so strong. I fell in love with all the characters on that map. The Easter egg is a bit simple, but I'm okay with the simple Easter egg. Those are fine. We'll get to the bad ones, trust me. But yeah, Mamba's really good. I don't think it's the second best map of all time. Obviously, this is a bit early, but I'd say Mamba's definitely a top 5. Alright, Buried. Here's my hot take here. It's only okay. Buried's biggest... my problem with Buried is that it's so easy to exploit. Like, so dumb how easy it is to just, like, do something stupid and get to, like, round whatever you want. Or at least until 71. It's not necessarily that the map is too easy, like, entirely. It's the way that it's easy. And so easy to exploit and just take advantage of, because the mechanics are not completely thought through. Like, who thought it was a good idea to make, like, the bank so accessible and just get any amount of points that you wanted at, like, round 1? Like, I think that's a bit nuts. But with that being said, there are some cool things about Buried. The Easter egg and the that sharpshooter step is really intense and cool. I like the super Easter egg that it brought in, and I think that the 2 endings were kind of neat. I mean, obviously those are almost borderline impossible now because of, you know, Black Ops 2 being nearly unplayable in almost every version except Plutonium. So yeah, Buried is it's alright, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. Not my cup of tea. Alright, Origins. Origins is a map that I don't like, but I know is good, so I'm putting it top 10. I don't know. I respect it a lot. It's the map that kind of brought people back into zombies. At least it made people kind of care about it again. Because, I mean, think about the disaster fest we got put through in Black Ops 2. We got freaking train wrecks like Transit, Die Rise, and Nuketown. And sure, we got Mob in there, but we thought that was a one and done deal. And then we got Buried, which is like, alright. But then, boom, Origins. It's like this super huge immersive experience. But this time it's actually tied into the larger narrative at hand. And I don't know, I have a lot of respect for it. The 4 Wonder Weapon stabs idea was so cool and so, like, unique that it literally got ported over to, like, 2 games after it. Literally being copied and pasted. But I mean, that's telling of a good idea, right? The fact that it almost becomes a staple going forward. I mean, again, there are flaws. It kind of sucks when only one of the stabs is really useful for high rounds. I was kind of hoping that all of them would be, but no, literally lightning is useless. Fire crashes your game and wind has no ammo, so that's fun. And this is the part of the zombies timeline where I kind of start getting annoyed. Because in order to like really set up and get geared for high rounds on this map, you need to like look up like hours worth of tutorials. I mean, it's not egregious yet, but it gets there. I wish I didn't have to look up so many tutorials on how to like get these freaking upgraded stabs. Some of the steps just to me just make no sense whatsoever. I shouldn't have to memorize a code or like a language to be able to do like an iStab step, or have to know what the numbers or symbols mean for like the fire staff step. Like, there's just some things that just don't make sense to me, or I don't even know how the hell people solved them. It's just a bunch of trial and error. I don't think trial and error should be how you discover steps. It should be using your brain. So, with that being said, Origins is still a really good time, and if you got people who know what they're doing, it can be a really fun cooperative experience. And even solo. It's also a really cool speedrun map, endingly. Alright, Shadows of Evil. A map that I have a great grudge over, but it's still really good. I'm putting it in great. Shadows is really good, but my problem with Shadows is that it's the launch map. Okay, maybe I should just separate my views on the maps based on... It shouldn't be based on the games. That's a fair point. I'll put it in top 10. Yeah, top 10. Because okay, Shadows of Evil is so well designed. It really is. And the speed runs have been so like mastered and like crafted at this point, and I really respect the sort of style they were going for. This is the peak of Treyarch being able to convey a vision with their maps, and it really the I don't know how to really properly explain it, but I think the best zombies maps are experiences. You don't just call them maps. Shadows of Evil is the antithesis of being able to call a zombies map a zombies experience. Like, I don't think of just, oh, that Shadows of Evil map, or like, oh, the one with the Wonder Weapon, that's cool. I think of, oh, you're thinking Shadows of Evil, like that whole experience. It's that rocket shield, it's the apothecan's servant, and the teleport. I do a bad job of explaining it, but there's so much to Shadows and what makes Shadows that I can respect it even if I don't like some of the design decisions, or maybe even the vibe. The vibe of Shadows is not my cup of tea, but I do appreciate the originality and the creativity that went into it. So, top 10 for me. Alright, the Giant. This is gonna be an interesting one because it's literally Darius, but on BO3. I'm gonna put it top of great. My problem with the Giant is that the fun kind of gets sucked away when you start throwing Gobblegums into the mix. Darius's best moments are when everything's like super intense. You're doing your best to try to keep all your buddies alive, and I mean, death is truly inevitable, but you're doing your best to hold them off. That sort of vibe, but the Giant kind of rids of that when you start throwing BO3 mechanics like the double pack-a-punch, the Gobblegums. A lot of that intensity sort of goes away. So, I don't know. I don't think it's a very fun map to high round on because it's just, you're either running around with a Wonderwaffe or Dead Wire, or I guess using some cheapo Gobblegum strat. I don't know. It's just not really that fun for me compared to the original. Alright, Dead Ops, don't care. Durizen Drac, top 5 for sure. I would actually say it's better than Mob. And it's better than Darius. Durizen Drac is the pinnacle. I would say it's the closest we've ever gotten to a perfect zombies map. This completely it nails every single aspect of what makes a good map. Like, you got an amazing story, you've got great high round gameplay, you got fun wonder weapons, it's got it all. And it flows amazingly. Now sure, it doesn't have the best anything, but the fact that it has amazing everything, that should be telling enough. And I would argue that DE's bows are a lot more fun than the stabs. Because at least the bows, they all like are somewhat equally good, even if people just spam sword bow, but I have a lot of fun with all the bows. So, and you can get to whatever round with any of them you want. You have options, unlike Origins, so I gotta give it that. DE also just that, and I didn't even mention that it has a boss fight. It's the first map with a real boss fight. Frick you, Shadows of Evil, that's not really a fight. The Durizen Drac's boss fight is honestly pretty intense if you're not set up with the right gums. That Panzer wave can really destroy you. But with that being said, it's a certified hood classic. I don't think anything can touch DE truly. So kind of spoiled my take there, but that's how I feel. Alright, Zetsubo, the only real stinker in my eyes in BO3. But even with that being said, I would say it's the top of okay. Zetsubo kind of suffers from gameplay systems that kind of break away from that kind of zombie killing fun, forces you to really take your time. Which, if a map, that's not necessarily a bad thing to force you to take your time, but I really would rather not have to become an expert in botany to enjoy a map. And I don't know if it's just me, but finding parts on this map is egregiously hard. Maybe it's just a me problem. Maybe I haven't learned the map enough, but I have a hard time finding the gas mask parts and the shield parts. But that's just me. Maybe you can disregard that point if you want. The Easter egg is kind of whatever. The spider boss fight, people overhype the spider fight. Can I be real? it's a neat spectacle, but it's really freaking easy. It's so dumb easy. You don't have to think. You just shoot. And the Takeo fight is just as underwhelming. You just run around, just shoot for spores, and I don't know. It's an alright experience. If you, I don't know, high rounds. Admittedly, there's a lot of content. There's a lot of things you can do that get you to high rounds, and that setup is actually kind of mainly the Easter egg. But I don't know. I just don't think it really rises up to some of the greats above. Alright, Gorod Kroby. One of my personal favorites, but I would say it's still like only a top 10. Gorod Kroby. Okay, actually, is it better than Shadows? I respect Shadows enough. I don't like. If I was being subjective here, I would definitely put it like right here. But I understand these are probably technically better. And actually, Moon's probably a bit too high. I would actually put it like right here. My bad. In any case, Gorod is so fun. It really is so fun. It's just pure madness in a map. And there's so many like gameplay focused steps for the Easter egg that I respect. And the gameplay just flows so well. You're doing steps, you're doing things, you're just playing the game, and before you know it, you're already like you're doing the egg. You're getting the dragon gauntlet thing, and it's a rewarding and fun experience. My favorite thing to do on Gorod is to go for like the speed run to high rounds to get like those time trials. Those are really fun to do if you know how to really maximize your movement, you know, with the spawns, of course. So I don't know, that kind of exhilarating experience is just so fun to me, and I really hope they sort of bring that back with future maps. But the only other map they brought time trials back for was Revelations, which we'll get to now. Revelations is bottom of grade. I would rather play these maps than Rev, but Rev is pretty good. It's kind of a Wonder Weapon simulator map sort of deal where it's kind of dumb easy, but I can still have fun with it. Now, people like to argue that Chronicles kind of destroys any value Revelations offers, and I would disagree. I kind of like the idea of a map kind of housing all previous experiences into one, and I think that the flow and the design of the map really makes up for it. It really flows rather seamlessly. It doesn't take too long to get to really anywhere. You know where you're going, at least if you've played the map enough, but I guess that could be any map. The point is that it's not a chore to get from one place to another. One of the bigger problems with Gorod is that if you don't have that teleporter like helmet thing, I can't remember what it was, but if you don't have that, then you're gonna have a hard time really navigating the maps as effortlessly as you could be, because the dragon takes forever and you're kind of stuck on one side of the map if you choose not to use it. Not completely, but it's a hassle to get from one place to another on that map sometimes. Revelations, I can always just like, oh, there's a teleporter here to center, cool, and then I just take a teleporter at Noct to go to where I need to be. It's really easy to do that. With that being said, there are some real stinker issues with Rev. I despise this Easter egg so much. Who the hell thought it was a good idea to hide frickin' rocks and the bones in the rocks? Who thought that was a good idea? Who did it? Who did it? That person should be fired. That was I hate that step so much. And even then, the boss fight's so underwhelming. I don't know, man. Alright, well, that's Rev. And now we get into sort of the Chaos sort of deal, or Black Ops 4. And you're gonna be surprised on where I put some of these maps. Unless, of course, you know exactly who I am. Then, yeah. Voyage of Despair is okay. I don't think it's the disaster fest everyone will say it is, but it's definitely not a map I'll ever want to go back to, like, particularly. If the boys want to play the map, I definitely won't, like, fight them, but it's definitely not one I prefer. The Easter egg is so bad. Oh my god. That Solar System step makes me mad. That valve step in the engine room, like, But, I mean, it does have a really cool boss fight, so that's why it's on okay. I would have put it, like, at the bottom of Flawed, but it has some things going for it that I think a lot of people are underappreciating. But with that being said, that's Voyage. It's bottom of okay. Alright, 9. This is where we get to the good stuff, baby. Let's go. Here we go. 9 is a top 10 map. I'm gonna say it. I think it's a really, really, really fun time. This is the map that probably works the best with Black Ops 4's rather flawed mechanics, and it really shows. It's just a casual, fun experience. Getting to high rounds can be a bit nutty since there's a lot of mini boss spam, but I think it's fun. I really enjoy it. The boss fight's really cool, and the Easter egg is actually kind of fun to do on this map. So, yeah, I would say it's a good, solid, fun experience. I don't think it's a 10 out of 10 experience on BO4 that everyone says it is, but I think it's certainly a really fun time. Alright, my arch nemesis, Blood of the Dead. I have a love and hate relationship with this map. The story is so good. The story is so good. The map design is not as bad as people say it is, but it is kind of flawed. And that Easter egg is, oh my god, I probably have genuine PTSD from doing this Easter egg. It took me like 3 hours on my first real solo attempt to get this. I had to do the powerhouse step like 5 times. But with that being said, I don't know if it's just me having Stockholm Syndrome, but I think that after completing Blood solo, I have a lot more respect for the map. Because no other map really made me feel like I was in the hell that it was trying to convey than Blood. In Blood, you really feel like you are in purgatory. And even in the gameplay sense, if you're just going for high rounds, it's a pretty fun time. I would rather do Blood high rounds than Mob high rounds. So, I would say bottom of 3. I would rather play these maps, but Blood puts up a pretty good fight. I'll be real. I'm not gonna act like it's amazing or anything, but it's certainly not the 0 out of 10 disaster piece that people say it is. Alright, Classified. Classified is a really, really, really good map. Top 10. It's literally what 5 should have been. In every single way. Literally every aspect of 5 is improved on Classified. I can't think of a single thing where I would be like, they kept this from 5. No, literally everything is better. I'm trying to think. People argue that the Pentagon Thief should have stayed in, but that was such an annoying mechanic, and I can only think of how awful it would be if you got your fully 5-time pack-a-punch weapon from your BO4, I don't know, your Hades, just taken away from you in an instant by the Pentagon Thief, and you just were not able to catch him. Great, now you're gonna find another mystery box weapon and then pack-a-punch that 5 times. So I think it was a wise decision to not bring him back. And I think the way that Pack-a-Punch works and all that is way cooler and Classified. So, and this is one of those maps I will go out of my way to play BO4 for. So, yeah, Classified, Certified, Hood, Classic. Dead of the Night is on my shit list. I have a personal vendetta against it. I want to murder whoever. I want to murder the guy that decided to have 30 part locations for everything on this map. But with that being said, it's top of flawed. It's not the worst thing in the world, admittingly, but God, it's such a chore to learn. I really hate maps that are just a chore to learn, if you couldn't tell from the trend of this list. Except for Origins, that's the kind of the oddball one out there. But yeah, Dead of the Night just has way too much going on and not enough incentive to really learn all it has to offer. And I don't know, it's way too frustrating for me to learn. I'll be real. That's my biggest problem with Dead of the Night. The part locations are just egregious. The storyline is so freaking stupid. Oh my god, the story is so dumb. But admittedly, there are some cool things about it. The mansion location is very creative, and I really appreciate the sort of colors and vibes that it has. It feels like you're kind of playing through like a Scooby-Doo episode, and I think that's really neat. But there are some things that bring it down hard. The vampires are some of the most annoying enemies I've ever come across in a video game. They do not belong in the zombies map. I'm sorry. And when on top of that, you got to deal with all the catalyst spam and the freaking werewolves, and then you got the freaking red Nosferatus that come out. It's just, it becomes kind of an unfair clusterfuck unless you do that one strategy where you sit in the corner in the bedrooms. I got to round 80 on this map, and I'm never gonna touch it again. Dead of the Night, flawed map. Alright, Ancient Evil is going on my top 5. Ancient Evil is obviously the best Chaos map. It is so fun. So fun. The gauntlets are all so good to use. The Easter egg has maybe like one or two kind of really hard steps, but I would say is a really fun time. The boss fight, oh, that boss fight's so climactic and cool. And it did one thing that was impossible, seemingly impossible. It made people care about the Chaos storyline. And oh, it's literally like if you took Origins and like, okay, maybe not Origins. It's like if you took Drak and decided to refine some of those mechanics. And the only reason Ancient Evil is not like number 1 right now is because it's in Black Ops 4, which means it has some of those dumb mechanics that we don't like. It has the specialist weapons. It has all those elixirs. It has the catalyst spam. It has those things, but it has enough good going for it, and it works with those mechanics to the best it can, that it can hold its own, and I respect it. Ancient Evil, really fun map, and an obvious top 5. Alpha Omega is it's the worst flawed map I've ever played. I'll be real. It's so boring. Like, it's okay. Would I rather play Nuketown or Alpha? I would rather play Alpha, but only barely, honestly. The only thing Alpha really has going for me, honestly, is the character conversations. And those aren't really enjoyable if you're playing solo, so you're kind of forced to run bots if you want to enjoy that. And playing BO4 with bots is kind of dumb. So, yeah. Alpha Omega is just such a nothing map. It has like some really good story in it, but it's all hidden beneath like a bunch of mediocre design, like some of the most, actually no, not mediocre, some of the most egregious map design choices I've ever come across in a map. The Nova 6 gas bombers are some of the worst enemies anyone's ever designed. Like, honestly. And there are so many ways you could have fixed it. Literally, my solution to fixing Alpha Omega is to just make it so the Nova 6 bombers only show up if the gas, like, the valve, like, clogs up. If that happens, then the Novas come in, and then you're encouraged to then correct it and fix it. That would provide incentive to keep up with the map without punishing you, because the problem is that the current iteration of the map forces you to turn these valves for Pack-a-Punch, but hardly really gives you a reward for it. All it does is just keep Pack up, which doesn't matter if you already got your setup. So why would anybody risk their lives to hold X on a valve? It's I don't know. And some Easter egg steps tick me off too. Like, there's that really annoying one where you have to escort the freaking red crawler, and that thing can die from like the smallest thing. That one sucks too. The Avogadro boss fight's like neat for the first time, but it gets very, very like boring if you do it again, because you know all the hype, you know all the little niches and tricks. It's so bland. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just so much flavored text and boredom, just sitting there waiting for this dumb cutscene that has some of the worst writing I've ever seen. And I don't know. I can't really give Alpha a higher rating than this. The Mark IIs are fun. That's cool, but wonder weapons don't make or break a map. And that's why Tog der Toten is actually kind of high on my list. I would put Tog at... If I was being completely subjective, I would put Tog as a top 5 map. And if I'm being completely objective, I would put Tog der Toten as a top 5 map. Tog der Toten is literally like if you took Call of the Dead and just fixed it. Literally. Yo, you hate it when that one annoying friend keeps shooting George from across the map and leaving you stuck and destroyed by your train that you had? Yeah, he's gone. Instead, you get a free 500 points for being able to atone, no, not atone, for being able to respect his, his presence. And I think that's neat. I thought that was really neat. But okay, actual map features. I'm trying to think. So, my favorite thing about Tog is that it feels more like that playground mindset they had when developing Call of the Dead. It really does feel like the true zombie playground. You get like you can get these parts from like the fire zombies that you can use to open up that play space even more if you choose to. There's a flow that you can get with like choosing which challenges you want to accomplish first. You can try to get the wonder weapons for free if you want. There's so many different ways you can approach and play Tog that it really, to me anyway, becomes really more replayable. One of my issues with a map like Origins is that I feel very streamlined. I'm very kind of forced to play one way if I want to get things done. Tog der Toten, I've completed that Easter egg like at least like 7 times, and I've done it like in multiple different ways. Like I'll be like, okay, this time I'm gonna do the soup challenge first. Okay, this time I'm gonna do the bell challenge first, and so on. And I'll be realizing, oh, I can do things in between challenges and get things done at the same time. There's a lot of, I think, min-maxing potential that's not been found on Tog that you can really do here. And I don't think people have done the map enough to really see what you can do. And that's not even talking about how amazing the story is. I know it has the 2D cutscenes. I know they had their budget cuts. But honest to God, this is some of the best writing in Aether. Not as good as Blood of the Dead's writing, but Tog der Toten is like, if it trades a little bit of writing quality for a way better map, and I would take that over what Blood of the Dead forced me through. So, God, that walk towards that light is something I'll remember forever, honestly. And I think it was a beautiful way to end this like 8-year story. Now we're gonna get into the mediocrity. Let's go, boys. So let's be real here. This is kind of whatever. D Machine is a very flawed no, okay, that's a bit harsh. D Machine, honestly, bottom of great. Okay, no. Top of okay. Top of okay is fair. D Machine is alright. The problem with D Machine is, like, in all Cold War maps, is that it's just the mechanics that really kind of carry it. Because Cold War's mechanics are honestly really good. If they were put into a game like BO4, I would consider that the best game. But the problem is that the game that has the best mechanics always have the most shallow maps, apparently. So D Machine is just kind of boring to me. It's got like it's got the 4 die wonder weapons, but they're all kind of suck compared to the original. Unless you're using a lightning one and doing that sprint strat, I guess. The map boils down to you just sitting in a corner with your ring of fire and just shooting the ray gun. Which, if you know about Cold War, that's basically all the maps. And that's why I kind of have an issue with them. The D Machine is just kind of a whatever map. I'll play it if I have Cold War on my, opened up. But that's that. Alright, where is Firebase Z? There it is. Firebase Z is... honestly, I kind of group these guys kind of together. They're just kind of whatever. It's slightly worse than D Machine, but it does offer some things unique to it. I do like the defense rounds, genuinely. I think they're a good way to spice up the gameplay. But other than that, there's way too many mimics. It's just too many boss enemies spam. And the Ray K is not as fun to use. If it was pre-patch, I would put it this, but currently the way we have it, it's just kind of a whatever map. Alright, Outbreak. I'm gonna be real with you. Outbreak single-handedly ruined zombies, but at the same time, it's still not the worst thing in the world. I would rather play Outbreak than these. It's the most bland experience I've ever had. It's unique. Actually, yeah, that's fair. It is unique. It's a different take on zombies, and I think I will respect Treyarch for trying something new here. The problem is that they really dove headfirst into it with this. They really banked on Outbreak being like the next step forward for zombies, which I think that was their biggest mistake, as you will see later on the list. And I'm starting to realize this is not really an updated list. Stanley, get on that. Fix this list. Anyway, yeah, Outbreak is just kind of flawed. I would never go back and play it really, but I mean, it's okay, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. Mauer der Toten, the only like kind of good map in this game. I'd say it's better than Kino. I would say Mauer is a great map. It's the only map in Cold War where I feel like it's considered an experience and not just me shooting zombies in a multiplayer map. I don't know how to describe it. It's like it has that essence. A little bit of that Treyarch magic is actually there. A little bit. But I don't think it's enough to save it completely. If it had all the Treyarch charm with like a full crew, like a original Easter egg song, and all that jazz and a good story, it would easily be like a top 10 or even an S tier. But because the narrative is so lacking, or at least from what I've experienced from doing this egg multiple times, and the lack of emotional connection, I mean, I guess that's more of a my end sort of deal, but most people can agree that Cold War story is kind of bleh. So Mauer, it goes in great. It's an amazing map with some really cool features. I love that the Cerberus is one of the best wonder weapons of all time, but this goes to show that story is really important. Alright, now this is strange because this is not a completed list. If Forsaken was on this tier ranking, I would put it in the top. No, I would put it in the bottom of okay, because the problem with Forsaken is that the Easter egg is way too simple, and the boss fight is stupid easy. Like, honest to God, so dumb easy. I have no problems beating that fight. I literally completed the Forsaken Easter egg without a guide. I did not need a guide for literally anything on that map. And maybe that's like a neat thing. You can maybe say that's a cool step forward. Maybe it's like all about using your brain. But I think an Easter egg, it's okay if you have to look it up, because it's an Easter egg. It's not supposed to be found. But I guess that's their steps. That's their way of making their steps forward with the sort of mindset of let everybody enjoy the game, which I'm starting to think was a big mistake. And okay, Stanley, we're gonna have some problems because this list is not updated in the slightest. You didn't have Vanguard on here. I was gonna go on a whole rant about how all of Vanguard sucks, how it all should burn, but it's not here. It's not there. Why would you do that to me, Stanley? Why would you do that? You make me sad. This makes me sad. I'm disappointed in you. In any case, Terra Maledict is awful, and Darn Fong is awful, and the new Shinonuma is in the middle of okay. I don't care enough about Vanguard to really rant about it. I'll be real. Do I want to rank the other maps? Do I really want to rank these? I don't know. The video is long enough as it is. This will be my list of just the Treyarch maps. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this, and honestly, I'm going to go into more of a conclusion. So as you can see, my favorite maps are the maps that kind of go into more... They're more experience oriented, and the ones that aren't even then offer a user-friendly enough experience and still hold its own in terms of gameplay beyond that point. So a map like Der Riese, you may argue doesn't belong up here with some of these greats in Tag der Toten, but I think they hold their own due to how both replayable they are and how like designed they are as maps. So even if they aren't as quote immersive as maybe like Mob, Ancient Evil, or Horizon Drag, I can still have fun on both Reese and Tog simply because of how replayable and fun they are. And replayability is really important for a map that's trying to, oh, I don't know, be an arcade game mode. So, yeah. And then the worst maps to me are the ones that fail in what they're trying to do. More specifically, the ones that don't even try very hard and then fail miserably. Like Alpha Omega, it's like you can kind of tell Treyarch was just kind of phoning it in at this point. I don't know if I wouldn't say they didn't care, but I would say they definitely were running out of resources. And then you have Die Rise, which is just like, this is Jimmy's basically fuck you to the community after what happened on Transit. So yeah, that's my tier list. I'm gonna have some, probably some feedback that will be very intense, but I'm sure this will be a very civil and very productive discussion. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day.